and welcome to The Bond. Today we have an interesting guest, but first let me ask you a question. Do you think that the history of a place resonates and influences the people and the actions of where we are today? Let's take the Wynter people, for example. This is a tribe that's been in Shasta County, and in particular, it's also been in Redding, California. That's in Northern California. Some say they have a heritage that goes back 6,000, 8,000, some say even 10,000 years. So with that rich history, the Wynter had traditionally, all those years ago, built their homes with cedar and mud and earth and a variety of other things to be harmonious with nature. The spirit of building is in alignment with nature to do two things, to both blend in and be part of nature, to use those elements, but also to withstand some of the punishments that nature might dish out. So with that nature's wrath, we wanted to see what's happening in Redding today. And today there happens to be a company called Emergent 3D House Building, which still has that spirit of sustainability. To continue in the spirit of sustainability with the Wynter people, their leader, Chief Kayleen Sisk, has been involved with a variety of efforts to build a sustainable housing for the tribes. They have infrastructure where they've embraced things like solar technology or water runoffs. And the tribe's name itself means Middle River people. And this originated that their history shows they are from a sacred fire, which was inside one of the springs of Mount Shasta. And to remind you, sacred means something that inspires awe and respect. So they respect McCloud River, and they respect the salmon in that river, and they respect all of the nature elements around there and call it home to this very day. So Emergent, the 3D housing builder, actually needed somebody to reach out to a variety of communities, including one of the Native American tribes like the Wynter people. They needed somebody with that sort of inspirational outreach, somebody who's like, let's say John F. Kennedy in 1961, where he asked, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. And in that spirit of reciprocity, he wanted to show that when you think beyond yourself, that you can actually help everyone rise together. That quote actually sparked a lot of spirits of public servants, and Joe is one of those servants. He started off as being a police officer and eventually served as the executive director of Shasta's Building Exchange. He had some commercial experience, but he eventually stepped into a government position where he was the Shasta County Supervisor, District 1. But he didn't stop there. Today, he still carries that political spirit and that willingness to be one and harmonious with all the communities around him. And he represents as the Director of Community Development with Emergent, the 3D housing printer. They're changing the way that we can view traditional housing and how we develop not only just one house, but an entire neighborhood. So from cedar shelters packed with mud into tribal roots, embracing technology of today, in order to make things sustainable for the future, we want to have a conversation with Joe Schmente to show that there's proof that service and technology can work together. So Joe, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Fantastic. Well, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today. We really genuinely appreciate it. And we just wanted to know, could you tell me a little bit about Emergent and how they are dealing with the housing needs in the housing industry today? Where do they position themselves?
Yes, that would be my pleasure. And first, I want to recognize the owner and founder of Emergent, Donna Jamian. And Don and I have a long history of friendship, which is how I came to join him in this pursuit. Mm-hmm. We had the car fire in 2018, which was devastating to us. Nothing in comparison to what happened in Paradise or what happened down in Altadena, but it was still a significantly traumatic experience. And Don, being Don, hopped right in. And as a builder of 40 years, he headed the recovery team, the construction recovery team. And while he was rebuilding homes, he looked and said to himself, there's got to be a better way. We live in a changing climate. We live in a high fire zone. We live in a high desert area. There needs to be a better way to build. And that's what got him thinking about 3D printing. And he met with, I'm sorry.
So a disaster actually brought you to the concept of 3D printing to build something that could withstand something like a fire.
Correct. Because what Don learned right away was, I'm going to build this house and another fire hits, God forbid, and it's going to go. And we saw that up in Weed. They had the Bowles fire in 2014 and they had the Mill fire about 2 or 3 years ago, and a lot of the same houses burned. So we really need to build better before the disaster.
So that actually brings me to disasters in general. I mean, let's talk about natural disasters. On your website, you say from 2013 to 2022, there was an average of 61,410 wildfires with an average of 7.2 million acres. But later on, it goes to 7.6 million acres that was burned in the United States. Since 2018, there have been over 49,000 homes lost to destruction in wildfires, and the average number of homes damaged or destroyed by hurricanes is about 300,000 homes per year. So when you're dealing with lessons learned, when you're recovering from something like that, a lot of people find that communication was an issue. Sure, you want the police officers and the fire department and all of the other resources to be able to connect with each other. But the other lesson learned that usually happens when they're dissecting what went wrong and how can we avoid this in the future is embracing new equipment and technology. And is that where Emergent comes in with the 3D CP technology?
Absolutely. And when you look at the environmental damage that's done from a fire, not just talking about the actual structures, but the cars and the boats and the computers and the furniture and everything that now becomes part of the air we breathe and the water we drink and the ground we grow crops on. The environmental damage is significant. So it really is time for us to think differently. And obviously, that's a challenge. Anytime you try to introduce change, it's challenging to people. But we're persistent. And Don and I are very committed to what we're doing. And we believe this is the building system of the future. It's not going to replace housing as we know it, but there's certainly going to be a space for 3D printed homes as we move forward.
And that's what the 3D CP stands for, 3D concrete printing? Is that
Correct.
your term
Correct.
that you created? So,
yes.
So when you have that, is there another material that you've been looking at besides concrete, or is concrete really your go-to?
Concrete right now is the go-to. And just to understand the dynamic, it's a gantry-style printer. So it's like a desktop printer, except we put it on the job site. And it prints a house a 2-inch layer wide by 1.5 inches high all the way up. And it uses gravel, sand, and cement. We batch on site. And there's multiple benefits to that. One is it's all locally sourced. We don't have concrete trucks coming in and out. The other benefit of that is there's less construction waste. One of the major impacts to landfills are construction waste, all the materials that come from a construction site. We minimize that. And another benefit is building departments understand concrete. They understand cement. They understand that composition, so it's easier for these types of new home ideas to be accepted by the building community.
And how does that work with earthquake country down here in Southern California and, of course, Northern California? How do you prepare your foundation to withstand the earthquakes, concrete cracks?
Yeah, everything is engineered. So you engineer to the seismic zone that you're in. And when you formulate your concrete, we put some additives in that help the concrete adhere better. And we're very diligent in watching how the printer is working and how the concrete's being laid out. So we have somebody at the batch plant who's watching things like temperature, watching things like humidity, watching things like gravel and sand and cement mix, so that we're producing the best quality concrete for that point in the day. And those types of oversight, those types of evaluations limit the amount of cracking that takes place.
So that's what you would say is the advantage of using concrete as a building material and the Emergent method. So can you tell me how you're different from other 3D printing companies?
Well, I'll always start with, what separates one company from another, and that's the leadership. And I'll admit I'm biased because Don has been a very good friend of mine for multiple decades, but he is a tremendous builder. He understands it. He's been doing it since he was a young man. He actually worked with his father in his father's company before he started his own. And I have sat on calls just like this, and literally in a very polite way, because Don is a very polite man, I've watched him school engineers on how to build. So it really takes that ability to understand construction. It's not just about turning your computer on. It's about understanding all the details and all the dynamics of building a solid, sustainable structure. So certainly that is where I think we take an immediately step out.
Are what you're saying, or is what you're, well, sorry, my grammar is off today, but are you saying that basically you can have a cement layout, but you will also have, say, wooden beams in the ceiling for some aesthetic looks? You can sort of blend materials that aren't 100% concrete, so you're not 100% concrete.
Yeah, it depends on how you build the house. Like now in Altadena, the Eaton fire, there'll be no wood on the outside of the building. So the trusses will be metal, the roofing will be metal, everything will be fire resistant. Okay. But yes, the printing itself is really only about 30% of the build. You still have the roof, you still have roofing, you still have electrical, you still have plumbing, HVAC, cabinets, fixtures. You still have all those things that are necessary if you're going to have a quality structure.
I think that's fantastic. And so let me just tell our audience that we need to take a very short break, but stay with us. We will be right back. And when we come back, we're going to learn about how Emergent is dealing with the housing crisis and how they're dealing with mom and pop construction businesses. So stay with us. We'll be right back. And we are back. So Joe, let's get right into it and talk about the housing crisis. How is Emergent dealing with that?
Well, let's first identify the fact that we have a significant housing crisis, and certainly in the state of California. So what we're trying to do is be able to build houses faster, better, more durable, disaster resilient. And one of the really cool things about what we're doing is we're introducing the tech generation of construction workers. In traditional construction, for every 5 people that are retiring, only 1 person's coming into the trades. But when you add in technology, all of a sudden now you're appealing to the generations that have grown up with technology. Because now they're operating a computer system, they're operating software, they're operating a printer that's producing a house. So we're excited about the opportunities it's providing to young people to come into the trades and to be able to make a very good living.
Are you talking about an apprenticeship?
Yes, we work very closely with LIUNA. They are the Laborers International Union of North America. And we're very proud to be aligned with them because they bring that standard of excellence and commitment to the worker to the table. And that's important for us. One of our goals is to be able to have our workers afford the houses they actually build.
That's a very
that hasn't always been the case,
thing, right? Ford wanted to do that with his conveyor belt construction back in the 20s. So let me ask you this: if somebody is apprenticing with you, that's one type of learning program. What about a mom and pop construction company that just wants to know how to add to their repertoire of services that they offer with building? Is that
This is certainly, first of all, we're a small company, and we take great pride in that. Don is a second generation contractor. We take great pride in that. And I personally, having a business background, believe that entrepreneurial companies are really what drives the economy in America. So I'm certainly a big supporter of that. It's just a matter of blending the construction knowledge and expertise that people acquire over the years with a new technology. 40 years ago, when they introduced the nail gun, that was a pretty significant technology. And the introduction of the nail gun impacted how architects designed homes, because now they could design shear walls for better strength and stability. The same thing is happening with architecture and 3D printing. So anybody's welcome into this field. It's just understanding that it's not just you turn the computer on and the printer runs. You need to have a significant background in construction and construction management.
I see. So you're expecting a mom and pop construction company to already know the basics, already know the California housing codes before you teach them on your machinery. And that's a little different than just bringing somebody in as an apprentice who would shadow you for a little bit and learn it from scratch like a student. Got it.
So those are two, those are two avenues. One is training people and bringing them up through the system, which we are very excited to do. And the other is to see this technology grow, because we believe the more this technology is used, the better it's going to get. I mean, just look at cell phones, over the last 20 years.
Absolutely.
The better it gets, the faster we build, the better we build, the more we learn, the more skilled the workers become. The whole system just gets better.
So give me a step-by-step guide. If some neighborhood gets wiped out by a natural disaster, and this is an avenue that they want to pursue because the strength is better, the build time is faster. What's your step-by-step guide that you would tell people what they need to do before they start rebuilding a neighborhood, or just any group that wants to have a plot of land and establish a brand new neighborhood from scratch?
Well, the first recommendation I make, and we are experiencing this now, because we did affordable housing up here in Reading, and now we're dealing with a recovery in Altadena. The first thing we encourage is a Teams meeting, a Zoom meeting, where the person who wants to build meets the Emergent team. And it's very important for them to meet Don, because people buy from people they like and trust. It's very simple. So knowing who Don is, listening to him talk, and getting an appreciation of his experience, that really helps to develop the relationship.
Okay, so Zoom meeting is step one. Step one, Zoom. Okay. Yep. Step two.
If that works, then the next step is to bring in our architects. And we also do this on the Zoom. And we have young architects, young by my standards, because they're in their 40s. One of them is based in Tokyo. One of them is based right here in Reading. And they are probably two of the most knowledgeable young men on this type of technology.
Okay.
They also have a team of engineers that supports them. So then the next meeting is with all of us. And this way the prospective home builder can say, these are the things I'm looking for. What will it take for me to build this? If they all agree, then the next step is an agreement with the design team. So there's two parts to our agreement. One is with the design team, one is with the construction team. So then the design team takes over and works with the customer, the prospective builder, through every step of the design and engineering phase, all the way through construction docs, which means that it has gone to the building department, and now it's going to be formalized into building plans. Once that process is completed, then the construction team steps in. Now, throughout the entire process, the construction team is involved, so that Don is watching, and his team, they're watching what's being designed to give their input on how to best build. And then once we get the construction contract, then we begin the build phase.
Now, do you do interior design also with your houses? Do you build the furniture with 3D printing?
You can certainly do that. Certainly exterior furniture, concrete furniture. We haven't gotten there yet. And one of our goals is to get really good at what we're doing before we start doing other things. So really just designing the home, and because we print interior and exterior walls, and doing all those things to get it to perfection. And then we'll look at what other opportunities present themselves. But right now, because of our mission, we are really focused on building better, sustainable, environmentally safe, environmentally resistant structures. And
Okay.
that's really where we put our focus.
So let me see if I got your plan right. Number 1, Zoom meeting. Number 2, architect. Number 3, you want to go ahead and engage your engineers. Number 4 is you have your home building requirements that you match up against what your available skill set is, even if one of your architects is in Tokyo and the other is in Reading. Number 5, you want to go ahead and bring in your design team. Then 6, you formalize your plans. I assume that means you make sure everything's to code according to the area that it's in. You file your paperwork. And then 7 is when your construction starts. And number 8, lucky 8, means somebody gets to move in. Is that
Correct.
right?
Okay. And one of the things we like to do, we don't require it, obviously, but we are a general contractor. So we like to take them through the entire process. Our experience, significantly Don's experience, having done this a long time, is this is a large investment. And then add to that somebody who's been traumatized by going through a fire, a disaster.
Of course.
It's important for them to know that they have a support team that's going to work them through this process. We even work with the insurance companies to make sure that everything that we're doing is getting covered by the insurance. So we try to make it as smooth and easy a process as we possibly can.
So you try and, as part of the building effort, you try and see if there's other avenues of income that might be able to offset the actual building cost.
Certainly when you're dealing with a fire recovery. And then when we go into affordable housing, like we're working on a neighborhood, potential neighborhood here, we look for grant funding. So whether we get it through the state or we get it through the city, we look for grant funds that allow us to build homes that we can make affordable to people coming into the homeowner.
So could you balance out for me the cost of a traditional home, cost of a 3D printed emergent home? What's the cost difference? What's the time to build difference? Just ballpark.
Here's the safest way to say that.
Okay.
Whatever it costs to build conventionally, we can 3D print it.
Sure, that's capability, but what is there a savings in time or a savings in cost?
The costs are about the same. At least that's what we said, because we don't know when we go into a new market exactly what it's going to be.
Okay.
We can save time. Right now, we're looking at between 10 to 20%. But here's the big thing.
Yes.
Besides building disaster-resistant, environmentally friendly, climate resilient, durable, we can do really flexible designs. So we no longer have to be square and plumb. We can do any shape you like. And the cool part about that is when you go into especially when you go into areas where there's a great view, you can design your home in a horseshoe so that every room looks out on the view.
How nice. And now, can you align it with solar panels or other sort of, so you get like a hydrogen power unit to power the home if you wanted to. Some sort of a green technology. So you're able to design it around green technology. Okay.
Correct. And if you look at, we did a home for Woodbury University. It's on our website through the National Renewable Energy Labs. They were in a competition, and they created a structure just like that. So it had solar power, it recycled gray water, it captured rainwater, it does all of that. We did the printing on it. It's only about 450 square feet, but it's very cool. And this was designed by a school of architects. So we really believe there is a real value in understanding and implementing this type of technology. And it allows us to expand geographically. One of the areas now we're getting not only fire recovery, but we're getting a lot of interest is in deserts. Because you really want to build a building that can really withstand the desert heat. And this type of construction works.
Palm Springs can get up to what, 120 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yes, so can Reading. So yes.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, and we've already, as a matter of fact, we've got several homes being designed right now for Joshua Tree, for that area.
I see. Plus, you have sandstorms sometimes, and I know that in some people who drive cars in those areas, they have to replace their windshield from the sand pitting on their car windshield. So there's the erosion from sandstorms that your home would need to withstand as well.
Correct. Correct. So just building these kind of sustainable homes makes perfect sense. And what we're seeing, and this is totally anecdotal, but we see a lot of young people, by young in their 40s, who are now looking at this technology and saying, that's how I want my home. That's the home I want. It's durable, it's low maintenance, it's energy efficient, it's disaster resistant, and I can do really cool things with it. I'm not limited by design. I can go any direction I want. So it's cool to see. It's in its very young, organic stage, but it is cool for an old guy to be able to watch that go on.
Well, I really wanted to say thank you so much for joining us and for coming on by. We really appreciate the insight that you shared with us. And I just find it fascinating. Whenever we can use new technology to do something green and help with sustainability, that just is fabulous. And it builds community all at the same time. So, to our audience, Joe today, he took us on a real journey. He gave us an 8-point plan where we can Zoom, go with the architect, talk with engineers, do home requirements and make sure that we get our full design team involved, formalize our plans, do the construction, and then move in. He showed us that 3D homes are real. They're here now. They're saving time, saving some money, and have flexible designs. They're able to stand up to some of nature's worst hurricanes, earthquakes, and fires. Doesn't mean that they're fireproof, but it means that the materials are more resilient than traditional home building. Plus, they can add an extra feather in the cap to a mom and pop construction company that wants to offer that and an additional service. And then they can also leverage their traditional building services for the interior to make it more cozy and homey. So Joe's gone on a journey from public service to reaching out to communities on behalf of Emergent 3D home printers. And he is also leveraging the wisdom of the ancestors that occupied Reading and the Wynter people. Innovation is really grounded in service, don't you think? I mean, it's community, it's heart, it's how we develop other people by giving of ourselves. So where will you leave your heart? Joe may have left his in District 1 of Shasta County, but he also puts a little bit of his heart, it sounds like, into every single home that's designed. So remember to smile at someone today. Remember to give them a little piece of your heart. And until then, until we bond again.